Yeah,
Okay, I can
is that fine?
kickstart things. Yeah, of course. I love to talk about the MBA program, especially to Nigerians, because Nigerians don't seem to know much about the MBA program. I speak to a lot of people every day, and they're always confused as to the way like an MBA program can help launch their career. So, yeah, first thing I would say, the MBA is not a conventional master's program. It really is not. It is not a program for people that are looking to learn and prepare for a PhD. It's not that kind of program. The MBA program is what they call a terminal program. It's almost like the way medical degrees are terminal programs. After you get the degree, you're expected to practice as a practitioner, or JD programs, which is the law degree here in the US. And that's the way the MBA is. Once you finish, like I would say 90 something percent of my classmates will never be getting another form of education again. They are
Mm,
done, they'll go into the world and start working. So that's one difference between the MBA program and a master's degree program. Then also, the MBA program is really only worth it if you do it in a top 25 school. You
mm,
might want to argue, you might want to say, oh, I know someone doing their MBA program in John Hopkins University. I'll
mm,
tell you now, it's not what the paper that the degree is going to be printed on. And
mm,
it's not pride or anything. It's more like the MBA specifically is supposed to like kickstart your career in a different field. It's like a career switching degree. But you
mm,
can't do that if the university you're doing your MBA at is not very renowned. So I'm telling you, just top 25 programs, and most of them are in the US because the US is like the birthplace of the MBA. If you are going to a school that is ranked 100, some or out of like 1,000 schools or whatever. I don't know what the ranking is, but it's not going to help you. You're wasting your time, except you get it for free. Like someone sponsors it for you for free, and then it's fine. You just want to like spend time in school. So all
can you
the
tell us some of the schools?
of course, all of the experience I'll share are surrounding schools. So there's a like an official ranking for schools.
Mm,
There's the HSW. HSW is like the top three schools, and it's Harvard, Stanford, Wharton. So their ranking changes year on. Sometimes Wharton will be number one, sometimes Stanford will be number one. But those three schools are like the pinnacle of like MBA education. And then there is the M7. M7, they call it Magnificent Seven. I don't know who coined that name, but the first three of the M7 is the HSW, but the remaining four schools are Columbia, MIT, Booth. Booth is the business school of the University of Chicago, and then there's Kellogg. Kellogg is the business school of Northwestern University. So those are the top seven schools. Now, the next category of schools is what they call T10. T10 is basically the first seven schools I told you just now, and three schools. Some people will say the person speaking, whatever school they are attending, is one of the schools because there's literally like the T10, there's confusion as to which of these schools make up the last three. But personally, I would say Yale. Yale is a very good school, even though it's relatively young. It is good, maybe because of the parent university's brand. And then there is also AS. AS is the business school of University of California, Berkeley. That is the business school. Like you see me saying all these names and I'm using the actual names of the business school. That's because most business schools are known by their name, not
mm,
by the university's name,
mm.
except like things like MIT that they just, I think MIT is more popular than the business school's name. But anyways, back to the T10. So there's us, there's Yale, and then I personally think the last one is Talk. Talk is the business school of Dartmouth College, which is an Ivy League. So that is the T10. Now moving on, there's T15. T15 is, to me, they give almost similar like career opportunities like T10, but some people just feel like they wanted to separate 10 schools out of 15 schools. So anyways, T15 is the first 10 schools that I just listed, and other schools like, I don't know if I know all the 15 in my head, but let's see. There's Duke, the business schools is called Fuqua School of Business. There is Ross, the business school of Ross. The actual University of Ross is the University of Michigan. There are other schools. I just can't remember now, like I said. But if I remember down the line, I'll let you know. And then after the T15, the last category that really matters is the T25. And then you see things like University of North Carolina, UNC, their business school is called, I think, Orleans. I'm not sure. But anyways, like there's a lot of schools there. But because some of the people that might be on this call are like medically inclined, they might be thinking, John Hopkins, where is John Hopkins? John Hopkins
Mm.
is not ranked. Like I said, the degree is not what the paper that it's printed on. Sorry, I don't know why they've not invested in the MBA program, but it is not one of those schools. So moving on, like the schools that matter, the schools that are actual MBA programs, people that do their MBA at schools like Quantic, Purdue, they're just wasting their time and their God-given resources. That is the honest truth. So the third
Do you have any
difference
school in the UK?
Okay,
Then,
yes. Even though like the US is like the birthplace of the MBA and it offers the best opportunity, the UK also have some really good schools and Europe in general. The number one school, the holy grail of MBA programs in Europe is what they call INSEAD. INSEAD is the name of the school. There is no university or whatever. And INSEAD is like very good in placing you in Europe, like career opportunities in Europe and in the Middle East.
mm,
So I have to say something at this point. European business opportunities, they offer very little pay compared to US business opportunities. So that's why most people that are Auslers, they don't really prefer pursuing MBAs in Europe. But they do try if they are interested in the Middle East. Why that is so is because the Middle East, especially Dubai, they don't tax your pay. So you working in the Middle East might end up with more net pay than someone working in the US where the taxes are high. So that is something. But if you are looking for the number one place, it's actually in the US. But apart from INSEAD, there's also LBS. LBS is the London Business School. It's really good. Those two schools are like, I would say they are equivalent to the T10 in the US, but there's literally no European school that is equivalent to the HSW, which is the top three. Those are unmatched. And
Esther, so
then
we are saying it is very, very important for them to detach the prestige of the university from the MBA programs.
Correct. Correct. Like schools, some people would expect that schools like Princeton University, Brown University, they would
Yeah.
have the MBA programs. They don't have. And if they have MBA programs today, they start today, it's not going to be worth anything. And as we
Mm,
continue the discussion, you understand why. It's a very unique process. Most Nigerians that even come to the MBA program, they find it difficult to thrive because
mm,
it's a different thing than whatever you think you know from Nigerian-based education. And we're going to dissect them one at a time. But I just wanted to like set the expectations. Now, the other two schools that I would talk about in Europe is Oxford. Oxford is good, but not that good, unfortunately. It is like I would say equivalent of a T15. T15 might be generous. Some people will peg it as a T25, but I feel like because it's Oxford, they've had like a lot of heritage and they don't have a lot of schools in Europe competing
yeah.
against them. They will get you where you want to go in Europe and the Middle East. If you are looking
Mm.
to go to Oxford to switch careers into the US, it's not going to work for you most times.
Esther, so it is
Mhm.
important that if you want to pursue an MBA, you have to think about the after school, not just that you want to get an MBA, then that's all. You also need to
Yes.
think of the implication of what will happen when you leave.
Of course. And it's because like the MBA is one program where if you get you, they say you only MBA once, and that is true. You cannot do a second MBA after the first one. So if you rush in, like you just finished undergrad and you're like, oh, they're offering MBA somewhere, and you rush in and you do that, and maybe 10 years down the line, your career is not progressing the way you want it to, and you're like, oh, now I have much experience, I want to apply for a good school. Because you've done that fake MBA in the past, you're not going to get admitted. The only school that actually gives you the leeway, they will ask you to explain the reason why you want a second MBA is Stanford. That's the only school I know. And it's really hard to get into Stanford. So a lot of people would not be qualified for admission into Stanford. So don't even start thinking like, and also if you have gotten an MBA before, applying to Stanford now becomes like an hassle because you are writing an essay explaining to the admission committee why they should disregard your former MBA. You don't want all of those. As we talk about application process, you will see why the MBA application is a very unique thing. I don't know why that is so, but it is. So like circling back to the conversation about schools. So Oxford is good. And then there's Cambridge, George. So those two schools plus LBS and INSEAD are like top European schools. There are other schools I know of like EC in Paris, SDA Bocconi in Italy. But honestly, I would advise anyone looking to like pivot to just focus on those schools I listed. So now we spend much time on the schools, and I wanted to speak lastly about the difference between the MBA degree and other degrees. So the MBA degree is really focused on networking. And as we talk about how you get a job from the MBA program, you would understand why I'm saying this. All of the characters you learn back in Nigeria, where you're like my friends or my classmates are my enemies. These are the rich people that are worrying my life. It's not that is not the case here. Because honestly, your classmate can be the one that will give you a job. I go to school with tons of billionaire children every day. Those people have their names on the door everywhere. If you are not relating with them, you're not going to happy hour with them, you're not drinking alcohol with them, honestly, you might not thrive. So I'm just saying it now. If you are one of those people that are not into networking, you are kind of shy, the MBA program is not for you. You might drop off the call right now. Just go do a PhD somewhere in a lab. That is it. So now that I have set the stage and I have made some people really scared about the MBA program, I think we can talk about applying. Because right now, the MBA is seeming like a dream for some people. They are so far away. They're like, why I'm on this course really to apply. I don't want to know about prestige right now. I just want to apply. So this is the thing about the MBA program. I would always recommend anyone looking to apply to join the Reddit page, Arrow MBA on Reddit. It's a very, very good platform. You get news about everything. But I will walk you through the experience, my experience of applying to multiple programs. So when you want to apply for an MBA program, don't apply for one, don't apply for two. I would say the least you should apply for is 3, and that is if you are short on time. I say this because of several reasons. First and foremost, it's like you're not sure which university is going to give you admission in the first place. You don't put your eggs in one basket. That's one. You might think, oh, I am qualified for like a very good school, so I should be qualified for all of them. No, different schools are looking for different things. It might not just be your academics. It might be something else, like your cultural fit with the program. All of those are things we will discuss. So I would say apply for at least 3 schools. And the exams you should be preparing for, I think one of my greatest mistakes, even though it didn't end up affecting me now, but it could have affected me badly. But I prepared for my GROE the same year I was applying for the MBA program. So I spent 1 month because I really only had 1 month to prepare. And the next month after the result came out, I was already applying. And that is not the right strategy. Americans, yeah. It's most of the people doing MBAs at this top program, their father, their great grandfather, they've done this path before. So they've prepared them. Some of them, where they were like in undergrad, they did their GMAT or their GRE. Even though they knew that they would not apply now, they will apply in 5 years' time after they've garnered like work experience. So you want to follow their templates. Why do you think you go to an MBA program and more than 90% is like either Asian or white people? It's because they have a template for success that they've been following. And Nigerians generally We see things that are good, we don't necessarily share. So maybe Nigerians, we are like in my class, I think we are like maybe at most 8 Nigerians from like Nigeria itself, not Nigerian Americans. At most, I think I might even be exaggerating the number. But what I'm saying is this: take out time. If you know you're not applying for your MBA in this year or next year, take out time, do your GROE or GMAT. So I get the question, GROE or GMAT, which one should I take? So my advice is, if you have money, which I know is not the case, but some people on this call might actually have money, so I should share it regardless. If you have money, take both. Compare the scores, your percentile on each of the whatever, and choose the one that is best for you. In fact, some schools will allow you to submit both. And submitting both scores will tell them that you are really serious about this MBA program. You're not taking it as a joke.
Mm.
So that is my advice. But, and also, actually, the real advice is not just to take both, it's take both multiple times if you have the money to spend. Because sometimes your score can increase by like 5 points from the last time you took the score. And that will be the difference between you getting into like an HSW and a T25. So you really want to do the best. And why I'm focusing my advice right now on this part is because at this point, some people on this call who are not undergraduates, they've already gotten their CGPA from undergrad. That is not going to change. Even if you cry me a river, it's going to be the same score. You have nothing to do to be able to change that. The one variable, even your work experience for the most part, is going to like be stationary. You got the job you got, you are stuck in that job. But the one thing you can actively change, edit, revise about your profile is your GRE or your GMAT. So
Mm.
best to like do like all you can to optimize that to get yourself into a solid spot in a top MBA program.
Esther, is it all school that want you to submit that in the US?
Yes, all schools that matter. You know, this call is not about schools that don't matter. So we are speaking of the T25 and the European schools. All of
Mm.
them want you, every single
Okay.
one. If except like MIT offers some form of waiver, but the honest truth is I don't know anybody that has been admitted to MIT that got the waiver. So they will offer you, fine. It's just that your admission chances really declines and they will not say anything about it. It's we that are in the know that will tell you that don't shoot
Mm.
yourself in the foot. Except you are one of those rare people that are working in the deepest village you can find, saving lives, giving medicine, like doctors at the border, those kind of things that is you can really justify why you're not taking the GROEs like GMAT, and then you have a good GPA, an amazing work experience,
Mm.
lots of awards, yeah, then that might work for you. But honestly, I still have not found a success story, at least with MIT. So moving on, okay, that was the advice for people with money. So people without money, I'm not saying a lot of you don't have money. I am just giving multifaceted like advice. So for people without money, don't take it like in a rush. Spend time, like at least 3 months. That's my advice to you. At least 3 months reading. I would also share like my GRE prep material with Yusuf so that
Okay.
it could disseminate it as far as it could.
Thank you
But
very
anyways,
much.
you spend time study. This is not like normal math in secondary schools or like in university where it is just basically applying formula and you're done. No, the GREs like GMAT math is more about IQ test, about your reasoning. So that is not something that comes naturally, especially with our curriculum in Nigeria. I think our Nigerian curriculum puts us at a disadvantage for these American standardized tests. So you might read on Reddit that some people are spending like 8 weeks, 4 weeks, like me, preparing. I think I would have gotten like a better GRE score, honestly, if I spent longer. So, and I also think that sometimes luck was on my side. That's how I got that score. So don't be me, is my advice. Actually spend time, study, get above. My advice is this. If you are looking at your score and your score is not anything above 320 in GRE, then that is not the score that you should present. Keep it to yourself and your family. Find another way to like take that exam again. Give yourself time. But the advice is this, actually. If you do decide that you want to apply for schools, like a particular school, go on their website, type MBA class profile of, this is 2024, so 2023, class profile of, oh, because you actually have to type it based on their graduation year. So my class profile is out now. So you can type MBA class profile of 2025, because 2025 is when I graduate. And it will bring up the average and the median CGPA, GROE, GMAT, work experience, nationality, everything you need to know about the class profile. Now look at the GROE/GMAT section. Look at what I will never say average, because average skews the data in the sense that some people might have 340 over 340
Mm.
and someone is like 320, and then the average will meet somewhere in 330. So
Yeah.
maybe don't do that. Look at the median if you can find. Some schools don't report median, they only focus on average. So if you only have the average data points, you can look at that. But if you have both, look at the median. If your score is not at the median or above the median, now you are giving yourself problem to enter that school. Try your best to get that score at the median, at the very least. That's my advice. And also, I don't really know what the IS score for the GMAT. I know what the IS score for the GMAT prior used to be, but they changed it, I think, last year. They changed the scoring system. So now I'm a bit confused about the new GMAT. But before, it was like 800. That was the maximum score. And my school, I think, Wharton had 740 over 800 as the median. I can't be sure. Now, just to remind you, it's not, when I say 800, it's not 800 questions and you get 740 out of 800. It's more like, just think about it like maybe 80 questions. And if you get 74 correct, meaning that the people that got into Wharton at that year, most of them, they did only miss like 6 questions out of 80 questions. I'm just giving like a very baseline example of what that is to show you that it's a very competitive exam. And I know quite a number of people that had 790, which is like 1 mark away from perfection. So honestly, it is a tight race, but it's the race you can fight, because I do know Nigerians are very smart, and yeah, we have what it takes. Don't be dismayed. They will say Indians and Chinese people are like the ones messing the class profile. We cannot compete. But honestly, just believe in yourself. So that is my entire speech about like GRE/GMAT. Now we move on to CGPA, because I will be talking about the different components of the application and their importance. And I think I already hinted that the CGPA part is something you literally cannot control. But if you have your CGPA right now, you're looking at it, and your CGPA is like 2.5 over 4, this might not be the call for you, unfortunately. You might need to like maybe think of something else to do, because these top schools are not taking you with your 2 point whatever, except you've cured cancer. Then nobody really cares about your CGPA. This is like, I think for Wharton, it was like 3.6 over 4. That was the average CGPA or median CGPA for this year. But then another good news I would bring is this. Why schools might not take an overly low CGPA, they might not particularly expect great CGPA from internationals. Not because they don't want internationals to be like smart, but because the reason why schools are fighting for a very high slash like good average/median CGPA is because it's part of the evaluation criteria for the ranking of business school. And business schools want to always be top in the ranking. So they don't want your 2 point whatever to spoil the entire ranking system that they've been enjoying for years. But they don't consider international CGPA in this ranking. And that's something you will not be able to find on websites. This is something you know when you are in the know. So since they don't consider international CGPAs, it is relatively easier for an international student to be able to make up for a low CGPA, like a 3.2 or a 3.1, something that is like at least 3, than a domestic student, because a domestic student with a 3.1 would work against their ranking than an international student with a 3.1. But doesn't mean that you with a 2 point something would get admitted. They still would not admit you, because they would just worry that you don't have what it takes to graduate. And MBA programs most times graduate like 95% plus people. People really don't fail. The true like sieving mechanism is not you passing the MBA program, it's you getting in. So they are choosing smart people that will do great things already. They're just adding their brand name to your CV and telling you go and explore in the world. So they're not going to take you with a 2 point something. But I'm always ready to be proven wrong. So you could try and get back to me with
Esther,
outcomes.
I'm not sure whether you're going to come back to this. You
Mm-hmm.
know, as a medical doctor,
Mm-hmm.
your degree is declassified.
Okay.
So how the calculation of of the CGPA, how they, like, how was the calculation done in your own case?
Okay. So some people would want to say you should go and do some form of evaluation. I don't even really know the name of the company that does it now. For people that have done evaluation of their transcript, no. But for the MBA program, if your degree is unclassified, you leave your CGPA spot blank. You don't fill anything. So now there's more pressure on your GROE/GMAT because there's no numerical evaluation of you. You do have like scores from like the
Yeah,
transcript, but nobody's really digging in to see how many whatever you got some time ago and doing calculation. No. So basically, you with a declassified degree, you are going to need a good GROE/GMAT. You don't translate your degree. Like, for example, also those people that have like a 7.0 kind of CGPA grading system like you are used to use, you will not say because the application is asking for a 4.0 whatever, you will not calculate it. No, you would put your exact CGPA there, just the way it is stated on your transcript. So the CGPA thing is as like a workaround, and it's just like once you don't fall into the conventional 4.0 CGPA grading system, your like the entire evaluation of your academics now really focuses on your GRE/GMAT. So that is the thing I would say about that. Now, moving on, and I am breaking the academic component of things because Nigerians tend to think education is focused on academics. And I'm starting with this academic part. It's not the most important part of the application. It is just a part I have to get through to get to the fun part. So people would also advise, I've read it somewhere, they'll be like, do a lot of online certification courses, get good grades there to be able to like show that you are ready if your CGPA and your GRE is not something to write home about. Honestly, I will not say it's going to like, I'm not saying like it will not have an effect. It will have an effect, but maybe like a 1% effect on your admission rate. To me, the amount of work you're going to spend on online certification courses is way too much than the effect is going to produce. So if you are getting like a 2.5 CGPA and like a 310 GROE over 340, and in your head, you're thinking, if I do a lot of A plus from several certification courses, I am going to get admitted. I'm sorry to break it down to you, but nobody would really care about the certification courses. But it's a good touch if you have like good average score for CGPA and for like GRE. Then you can use that to just show that you love to learn. You're a lifelong learner. That is like a plus in your book, but it's not going to truly help you. And one more thing I forgot to mention, some people have, there's just so many permutation and combination of this CGPA thing, but I'll try my best to cover as much as I can. Some people have very low undergrad CGPA and they did a previous master's somewhere and they got really amazing distinction 4.0 over 4.0 whatever. The MBA committee, they don't care about any CGPA that is not undergrad. I'll say it again. The MBA committee, they don't care about any CGPA that is not undergrad. And that the reason for this is because the ranking committee for schools, MBA schools globally, only consider undergrad CGPA in their ranking. And because of that, the MBA committee will consider what the ranking committee cares for, and that is undergrad CGPA. But your master's 4.0 is also a way to show them that you are not dumb. You just have maybe life circumstances, like the way I have a lot of professors that will never give you good grades.
Mm.
But like you have life challenges, village people worrying you from undergrad. So you're showing them your true capacity now in your master's program. So it's not as if it's bad to supply your master's degree, but it's not going to have the cleansing effect that you think it's going to have. It's going to just show them that, oh, too bad, they just did not have the right environment for an undergrad or something, but it's not going to give you the leeway you are thinking of. So if you are currently an undergrad, you've not graduated yet, my advice is, although school and scam rubbish that people used to hear in Nigeria, it's not for the MBA program. School not be scam, especially in the undergrad or whatever. Study, get your good GPA, lock that down, and then you can be sure that that will help you in your application process. And then if you do decide to go to like the certification course pathway, I think the one I would advise you to do is MBA math. MBA math is very expensive because it's actually cheaper in US dollars, but most of us are not earning in US dollars. It is expensive. You might have to save up for it, but it is a trusted certification course that MBA committee members know like the gravity of what goes into you passing an MBA math certification course. Enough that
That's
that
the
will really
MBA
help.
math.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that will give you a lot of like leg in quotes better than just a random certification course that you take that nobody knows truly what the grading criteria is. So I
Mm.
would say you can save up for that and do that. It's not, like I said prior, certification courses in general are not going to cleanse you, but at least if you do an MBA math, it will help you better than a random one. And I also think there's Harvard Core X, but I don't quote me on the Harvard Core X one, but I do know MBA math. And then other strategies that the school you're applying for probably have their own certification course. So you might want to take that as well. So depending on the school. I don't think Wharton has a certification course the last time I checked, not because I needed it, but I just was curious. But you can do further research on that. And then the last thing about academics I want to highlight is people ask me, actually two things. They always ask me, GRE or GMAT, which one should I take? Since I don't have money for both, like my initial advice. I want you to think. Don't think what your friends are telling you to make you happy. Truly assess yourself. Are you good at math? I'm saying math. In Nigeria, it's maths. Are you
Mm.
good at maths? If you are very good, you feel like you know you are good at maths, take GMAT because GMAT maths is more complicated. And in GMAT, if you do better in the math session, your grade has a booster effect more than if you do like better in the English session. So the GMAT is not really graded as one good score gives you, like one correct answer gives you 1 point. No, it has an entire algorithm behind the way they grade it. And maths has more effect in getting you a good score. So take GMAT. That is the advice. But if you are good at learning new words, at vocabulary, at English language, everything relating to grammar, take the GRE. So for me, I took the GRE mostly because at the time, I thought I was applying for a dual degree program. So I wanted like a test that I could use for not just the MBA, but also for like any other master's degree program I want to do. So that's why I was locked into the GRE. But I am very good at maths, even though I am a doctor. I don't know why, but that it is. That's the thing. So I would have taken GMAT, and I know my score would have been better with GMAT, but I was locked in because I was thinking of a dual degree program at the time. So yeah, that is one difference between the two. The GMAT is basically for business schools, finance schools, while the GRE is like every graduate degree program uses it. And for my preparation for the GRE, I had a book that I wrote more than 3,000 new words and their meaning and their synonym and their antonym. And I learned it because you need to learn it. It's part of the process. It is really demanding, but honestly, it's worth it at the very end. When I got my admission, I didn't think oh my God, all the times I spent on these words, I will never use them again. All I was thinking was, oh my God, I finally did it.
Mm,
So that is something I would point out on that one. And then the last thing about GRE/GMAT is that the admission committee, like for example, there are three parts to a GRE. There is the quantitative reasoning part, the verbal reasoning part, and the analytical writing. So to be honest, the MBA admission committee does not care about the like analytical writing part. So you could just go there and write rubbish and get 2.0 over 6.0. As long as your verbal reasoning and your quantitative reasoning part are solid, that is what they care about. And that the reason is, you can guess it. That is what the ranking committee cares about. So nobody cares about the analytical writing part. But maybe to be on the safe side, just get 3/6. So it's like average. Nobody can tell you that you're dull in analysis.
mm,
But the truth is, nobody cares about that part. The one that they care the most about is quantitative reasoning. That is where they give the most weight in their decision. So you have to get your quantitative reasoning score really good. My advice is for the GRE, get at least 160 over 170 in the quantitative reasoning part. Now you're wondering in your head, you're like, the math is not mathing, because if you say the quantitative reasoning is over 170, the verbal reasoning is over 170, so, and you just said the entire GRA is over 340. So what are the part for the analytical writing? What does it contribute? So you see, it doesn't actually add to the total score. It's just a separate score on its own to show you that that is not as important. So I would say aim for 160 in your um, um, quantitative part. And I would say the best part is to actually get 165. But if you can, your power does not really extend to that point, you can stick with 160. So yeah, that is really like all the advice I can think of right now for the academics part of things. So let us quickly move on to essays, because to be honest, Nigerians don't understand the concept of our essays are a booster with admission, because for most of us, we wrote JAM, we wrote post-UTME, they added two scores together. Did you fall on the threshold, above the threshold? Yes, admission. That is not the way it works, yeah. You have to really pour your souls in the essays. This is where you differentiate yourself. Do you know why? Schools, especially top schools, can fill their entire class with people with 4.0 over 4.0 as CGPAs, and people with more than like 760 in their GMAT, or 330 in their GRE. So where do you differentiate yourself? What is going to make them pick you over maybe a fellow medical doctor from Nigeria that even went to the same school as you and got maybe similar scores with you? It's not your academics, it's really your essays.
mm,
There are so many different essay prompts that schools can ask, but I would tell you that the one that is very likely to recall, like a lot of times you are going to keep seeing that essay prompt, is why the MBA, why this school, why now? Those are three different prompts, but you can see it in different combination.
mm,
So why the MBA? Schools love to hear that you've hit like a point in your career where there's no progression upwards, or you are like no longer interested in the field you are in. So there's three things that my friend said. This is not my own thought, so I have to credit them. My friend said the way to tell the MBA committee that you are looking to like change, the MBA will be useful to you, is three ways: change
mm,
in geography, change in function, change in industry. Those are the three things. So you
mm.
are in Nigeria, change in geography works for you. You are looking to like work in the United States because the United States is a land of opportunity. Don't say it like that. It's too cheesy, but you know what I mean. Now, the second change in industry. For example, I am not interested in working in clinical medicine, never have been. At this point, I don't even think I'm interested in working in healthcare, but that's a conversation for another day. So that is a very easy change for me in industry. I am going from healthcare to like whatever industry. So that is like a change. Then there's change in function. Some people currently might be working in clinical medicine and they want to maybe work in public health. or in healthcare governance, any of those fancy fields. That is a change. You're not necessarily changing your industry, but you're changing your function. So that is something you can tell the admission committee. And it's not just to say it and leave it. Usually those essays are like 200 to like 500 words. You want to qualify. What was that point in your life that made you think, this is time for me to change my career path? Is usually when you make such a huge decision, it's not just one time that you get that inkling and you be like, oh yes, I'm changing tomorrow. There's always reaffirming points in your life, nudges that keep you like grounded in that initial decision. So you want to talk about all of those points along the way that reinforced that first decision to change. And then you also want to talk about what was now like the final push, because you might have been thinking about this for years, but what was not the thing that pushed you and say, this is the year you have to apply? One of those things are the things that will flesh out your essay to make it very robust. Because to be honest, two people can write the same thing. Like, I want to change from healthcare to like mining. I don't know who want to make that switch, but whatever. Like, I want to change from that kind of very weird change. Two people can have that same similar thought, but one person is going to flesh it out better, and the admission committee is going to feel like they are in the head of that person, and they will like that person more, and they will give that person admission. So the more you talk, the more you are specific with your interest, with your essay points, the better for you. Now, that this is the why the MBA, right? There's also why now. So I have kind of explained all of those why now thing with it, why the MBA, whatever. But the why this school, this is where I see a lot of pitfalls, a lot of pitfalls. People say, why this school? They will write a template, why the school, because they are like, oh, US schools are great, blah, blah, blah. And then they will just be changing the name of the schools depending on which one they are applying for. If you do that with your MBA admission application, I promise you, you will not get admitted to any school. And it's not even me just being like a very like pessimistic person. It's more of like, it's the actual truth. Because these schools, they know that they have competitors out there. They don't, and the way it was, the MBA program is a very curious one in the sense that part of what also helps their ranking is the number of people they admit, the percentage of the number of people they admit that accepts their admission. So they call it yield. The yield rate is the number of people that accept the admission that the school gave. So if they have a low yield, it's going to affect their ranking. So they don't want to be giving admission to everybody that they know that this person might not like accept. Yeah. So they are looking for people that truly love the school, because if you really want to go to a school, you're going to spend your evening checking the website of the university, checking their YouTube page, checking their social media page, learning those specific new things about the school that is very specific to them that makes you want to go to that school. Or you can actually reach out to alumni of the school, set up coffee chats. Coffee chat is not really over coffee. It's just like something we are having now, like a video kind of meeting with them. Ask them about their experience. What is the thing they love about the school that is not on the school's website? Because there's so many things about Wharton that you would never find on the website. Well, I know it because I'm here. And if you put that kind of thing in your admission essay, the admission committee is going to know that, oh, this person did their research. So there's just so many ways. Also attend their the schools usually have pre-admission events where they talk about like information session, they talk about the school. Attend, register so that your name is in their system somewhere. Because this is what we tell the admission committee, that this person is actually interested. This person is not looking to like just shop around, even though you are looking to shop around, because remember, you're applying to 3 schools, but you should not let them know. That
Esther,
is
what I
the
can deduce from what you have been saying is that you can't get into a top MBA by chance.
no, it's a planned process. It's not, you don't just wake up one day and get admitted. I swear to
Hmm.
God, because like right now, what Nigerians don't know is that the average student at Wharton paid an admission consultant to actually
Wow.
prepare them over months for application. And the amount is like $10,000, and I'm not even joking. Some people paid way more. The lowest I've heard was like $5,000 that the person paid. And if you pay lesser, maybe they do only one or two schools for you. It depends on the package you want to buy. And the amount I'm saying now sounds really ridiculous, but
Mm.
honestly, people pay for this kind of thing. It's a planned process. I keep telling you, the people that you're competing with are not your regular and never seafood shop people. These are people that their father, their grandfather, everybody in their lineage did an MBA. So they
Mm.
know the importance of this. And they are it's a weird thing. Americans are so obsessed with education, especially in the Ivy Leagues and good schools. They are literally going to do everything, everything for like this. If you've not seen this movie, there's a movie, a documentary called, I can't remember the exact name, maybe it's Admission Blues. You would see that a man was convicted because people were paying him up to $250,000 to get their kids that would never get an admission to an Ivy League admitted. You have to see things like that to expand your mind to know that this is a rat race. It's not a smiling race. It's not jam. This is not jam. This is you trying to stand at among the best of the best. And those people have had help. So I'm re-emphasizing it. It's not a 3 months process. The MBA becomes a personality, aspiring to get an MBA in a good school. So that is what I'm telling you. And now back to the essays. They also want to like see that you are telling them a story. Remember, an admission committee member might be reading 20 or like 30 essays in one day. It's not just all the essays they are reading, no. They're going to be reading multiple because like my school had like 7,800 and something applicants for like the position, and maybe they have just 10 admission committee readers. Now imagine that. So it means one person is going to get 700 and something read on, and it's not even, actually that's a wrong mark because they give your essays at least 2 reads. So one person is not going to just get 700 and something, it's going to get like 1,400 and whatever. And they're going to divide it across days. That's why getting your admission result back takes months, because the people need to read it. Why I'm saying all of this is because once you read the first thing, it's almost like wine tasting. I don't know if anybody loves wine, but I do. Once I try a wine the first time, I like it. It's the first wine I'm trying for the day. But now I'm trying the sixth bottle of wine, everything starts tasting the same. It's like, what is not the difference? What is the meaning of me wasting my money here? That is the way it feels like for the admission essay. Remember, this is not a PhD program. It's not where you list all your, actually for me, when I was applying for my MBA program, I did not list any of my publication. I have a good number of publications, but I didn't list any of them because it wasn't important to the MBA program. It's
Mm.
not a situation where you list your qualifications and you're like, this one can do the research. Yes. This one has someone willing to be their is this sponsor they call it? I don't even know. Supervisor. Yes. No, this
More
is
than that.
this is a dance. You are trying to tell the admission committee that I am bringing value to your school. And the way you do that is not just what you write, it's the way you write it, because you want to stand out. For example, let me pull up my MIT admission essay. I'm going to read the first paragraph real quick.
Let me make you.
You're making me a host. Can you do that?
Yes. Let me.
Okay. I'm still looking for for my
Yeah.
folder. I hope it's on
Done.
this laptop. I think I can remember the first paragraph. It's just that I want to say it exactly the way I wrote it. Because Nigerians, I don't know if we have the skill with writing. I read a lot of essays every day, and I'm like, could have been better. So I'm going to try to do my very best to paint the picture of what I'm saying, because it's one thing to say the words, it's actually another thing to really show the example.
Mm.
So let me see if I can share now. You let me know once you can see. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. So this is like a one pager. I think this is the most condensed essay I've ever written, but I'm going to read the first paragraph. So the MIT admission essay was basically, it's like a one-page essay prompt, which is very long, but what they were asking is really why should we pick you? That is the cruise of what like they were asking in that essay. So I said staccato was my arts reading in 2019 when I was named African Union Soul Ambassador to Girls 20 Canada from 1,600 plus nominees. 3 months later, I experienced a shift from being a girl who was always told to sit still and look pretty to one recommending gender-sensitive health policies to the G20 leaders. Even though I don't believe in much, how can I not believe in change? Now, if you read this kind of essay, maybe you are tired, you're like exhausted, you're like, I hate my life. Why did I become an admission committee member? When you read that essay, you are drawn in. Maybe the rest of the things, the shayari I said at the bottom may not make too much sense, but that first paragraph is like a grip on you. It's like, let me pay attention. This person has something to say. Let me give them the mic to say for the people at the back to hear. Honestly, I would always say this. Your introductory paragraph, your conclusion paragraph, those two things, if you don't do any other thing right, let it pack a punch.
Yeah.
And I see this new trend of people plugging in essay prompts in ChatGPT, and they are like, "Oh, I have an essay." I swear to God, if you submit a ChatGPT essay, you will not get admission. Do you know why? Especially for the conclusion part. The thing about ChatGPT is this, because Wharton actually has this free ChatGPT subscription for all members. So I've spent a lot of time there testing it, seeing how it works. But the thing about ChatGPT is this: when they write an essay for you, their conclusion is usually just the summary of everything they've written.
Yeah.
That is not the best way to conclude an essay. The best way to conclude an essay is always an ask. In fact, let me go to the conclusion part of my essay. Tell me when you can see it again.
Right.
Can you
Yes.
see my screen? Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to the ending part. So I've said a lot of things before in other paragraphs, but the ending one was, but I can impart more than just the health sector. This is why I want to pursue a multidisciplinary education at Sloan. Sloan is the business school of MIT. Can we schedule a chat to discuss how a Sloan MBA would improve my leadership skills? Very short, very straight to the point. I am not saying thank you for your expected consideration of my application, or I am not saying that I do hope to hear from you very soon. I am giving them an action point to actually like act on. This one, can we
Right.
schedule a chat? Is basically me asking them, give me an interview to learn more about me. That is basically what I am saying. But because this particular essay really is very short, it's just like a 3-word essay. Some of my conclusions that you will see in my essays, they are way better because I don't think this particular conclusion was even the best one I've written ever. I just can't think of any essay right now in my head to use as an example. But what I'm saying in general is this: don't use ChatGPT. To be honest, you are smarter than ChatGPT when it comes to essay writing. You might not be smarter in other things, but in essay writing, you know your story better. You lived your life. You know the part of, like they will say it in data state, you know where they pay you. Now you know our past. So please write thoughtful, human infused essays so that admission committees will know there's a difference in the wine that they are tasting and they will want to give you time. Because to be honest, you might think the admission process is perfect, it's objective, it's supposed to be amazing. No, there's also bias, subjective bias. This not the admission committee members woke up and they're like, I am going to be biased today. No. They woke up with the thought of they are trying their best to be objective, but human nature is something that fails. So try your best to stand out with the essays. Now, I can also give broader consideration about essays. The thing about like other admission essays that, for example, there's this popular one that Harvard used to ask. I can't remember now if it's the same essay for this year, but the last time I checked the Harvard, I didn't apply to Harvard. That's a story for another day. I just did not care about their case method education style. But I checked the website because it's Harvard. So the question about like there are not only one essay, Harvard asks only one essay. They say, what do you want to tell us that we, the admission committee, have not asked you? Now, things like that, some people will now start rehashing their CV, spilling it back with different words. No, your CV is your CV. I think the best advice I got preparing for the MBA admission is everything you've written on your CV, try not to put it in your essay. Keep it in your CV. They will read your CV. They will give it your CV like 5. Actually, we're going to talk about CV very soon, so let's leave that. So leave everything in your CV. Your CV is what they will look at and be like, oh, okay, I have a flavor of who this person is. Now, who are you beyond your CV? Never ever, if you feel like you are reading your essay, and this is something that if you put your CV in ChatGPT and you ask them to answer the essay, that's something they could easily spill back to you. You know you're doing it wrong. Your stories of growing up, your stories of survivor, your stories of loss, your vulnerability, all of those stories are things that make up who you are that will never be found on your CV. You should be writing about that. They want to know you. They want to be like your friend, your next door neighbor. They want to understand who you are as a person. And you might be wondering, how does who I am relate to me getting an MBA? I just want to get an MBA. That's the American thing. They want to feel connected. Most of the admission committees, they are white women. I don't know why, white middle-aged women. Those white middle-aged women want to feel like their job matters. They want to be like, I found a diamond in the rough and I was the one that gave them a chance at life. So that is the kind of thing that gives them joy, gives them meaning in their work. You want to feed it to them. That's the honest truth. So essays are really complicated to discuss because depending on the school, it will come from different angle. You just have to like understand what they're asking you and give them a unique flavor of who you are. So now, moving on, I would even say before I move on finally that the essays, to be honest, make up at least 40% of consideration for admission. If you get your essays right and the other things are like maybe just average, they're not nothing special, you did not just get like admission, you might get a very huge scholarship. Scholarship is also something we're going to discuss along the way. But let's like segue really quick to resume, CV. Okay, I've seen a lot of Nigerian CVs and resume in my life, my short life, to know that we're not doing it right. Why is it that someone that just graduated from undergrad sent me their CV and I'm seeing 3 pages? What do you have that is occupying 3 pages? You, as a person with lesser than 10 years of experience, should have a 1-page CV, no exception. You are not the curer of cancer. You're not a Nobel Prize winner. I'm telling you, if you're applying for a PhD, it's a different case. List all your achievements, like go deep. Your publications, they should be long. It should impress your professors. This is not that kind of gig. A 1-page crisp CV. Anything beyond 1 page is a cardinal sin in admission for MBA programs. Now, you're like wondering, how can I put in all my extracurriculars that I did in undergrad? To be honest, nobody cares. Nobody really cares about your extracurriculars from undergrad. I swear to God. It's like, what have you done since you graduated? Okay, this is one thing I have to say because I don't think I've said it. MBA programs in top schools require substantial years of work experience. So my school has a like average work experience of 5 years. Actually, was it 5.5? But anyways, 5. Most schools have like 5. I think Fuqua, the one at Duke, has 6 years of work experience. But there's a range. There's also a range of people having from 1 to like 20 years of experience. At least that was the entire range for my school. And the people that are getting in with lesser than 5 years of experience, people like me, because I actually have 5 years of experience, I just did not have it after undergrad. You have to understand, this is how they calculate your years of experience. It's not how long you've worked, it's how long after undergrad have you worked. The only people that get this exception is people that are serving in the military in the US, because they are serving and they are going to school at the same time. So they consider their military experience as actual like years of work experience. But other people that can get around this thing is PhD students. They are students in quotes, but they are actually working. in the lab. That's why they're getting paid their stipend or whatever. So their PhD years of whatever. Because you might be thinking, why would someone that has a PhD want to do an MBA? Oh God, there are a lot of people with PhD doing an MBA in my class, and I don't know. I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot of people. So the admission committee considered that like the PhD experience. But for me personally, I had like 5 years of experience because I was working in medical school, but I have not graduated. So my experience did not count as the number 5. It counted as like 0 point something. So I had to make up for that with other things like awards, like impact, like outstanding credentials. And I also think like my essays also contributed to my admission because they were like, oh, even though this person is not technically qualified, they would bring such a huge flavor to our class. So they would admit you. So, but the general people, conventional people, you have to actually work. So the way it works is also this. You start counting your work experience from when you graduate, but you don't count it up to when you are applying. You count it up to when you would be matriculating. So usually when you apply, 1 year after is when you matriculate. So if you are applying and you have 4 years of experience, you know that what you are putting in your application form is actually 5 years because that's the experience you would have when you are matriculating. So make sure you do it right. Don't shortchange yourself by 1 year. So do that. So I would say once you have had 4 years of experience, maybe 3 is also fine. You can get 3 years of experience and apply so that when you are matriculating, you have 4 years in total. That is going to help, like show them that you are on the average. Now, if your work experience is aligned to what they need, you can now say, I don't really have to like do too much to like make up for any inadequacies. I think the advice is that the different parts of your profile, you want to make it like aligned to average as much as possible. So you don't have to over make up for it in somewhere else. That's just the general advice. But everyone's situation is really unique. So you might want to like really evaluate yourself, reflect, and know what is best for you. So I was speaking about the way the average years of experience is. So why schools need that average years of experience is because the companies that are coming to this school, because this is the last part of the conversation, like not now, not what we're saying now, like I will talk about employment prospects just to give you a flavor of it. There's really no time to discuss the entire employment thing, but just want to say this early on. The companies coming to schools to recruit, in their head, why they come to these schools is that they don't want to waste resources looking for diamond in the rough in the general public. So they come to MBA schools because in their head, the admission committee has done a great job of sieving out candidates for them, candidates with the required years of experience. So if you are coming in with lesser years of experience than all your peers, you are at a huge disadvantage, except you have that secret sauce that is making you stand out in everything you do. So that is the one thing I will share about that before I discuss it more later on. So years of experience, you fill it out in your form. They would ask you like, you should fill out your, where you work, your title, the salary you get, like all of those things will be in the form. Now I want to explain it to you because Nigerians, I know what the kuru you guys want to do. I've seen it all in my few years here. Some Nigerians will come to me. I got admitted, and what did you do? Um, I did not actually work at the place that I put in my application. You did not work there. Wait, what do you mean? Did you work there like part-time and you said you worked there full-time? No. Did you volunteer there? No. Have you ever actually been there? No. Do you know where it is located? No. Well, they fudged it. They will catch you. You know why they'll catch you? The MBA program does a verification, comprehensive verification after you get admitted. They pay a company that investigates your background. So if you've never worked in a place and you are claiming it on your CV, there's a problem for you. The only thing you can amend, it's not fraudulent, they call it amend, is like on your CV, you know that part where you write your title, the company you're working for, then you go down and start listing what you've done in that role. So maybe you actually organize a Zoom call like this. You'll now be like, you brought together 500 stakeholders that generated 2 billion in annual revenue. This is something that people do. They use big words that magnifies what they've done. It's
Mm.
not a lie as long as the numbers are correct. It's just the words, your choice of word. You can do that. Everybody does it, even in the US. So that is not something they verify. But the actual role, your salary, maybe some companies would not want to share your exact salary because it's against company policy, but some do. So you want to ensure that everything you are putting there, it is correct. Because some people will say, oh, everything about my profile should stand out because my salary is really poor. My salary is like $5,000 annually, and my other friend from the US applying to the same program, their salary is $120,000 annually, and you're like worried. Remember that they're not just evaluating your profile as a blank page. They are looking at it based on the context of where you're coming from. So they know that in Nigeria, obviously, the minimum wage is not the same in the US. Be proud of your salary. Share the exact figure. I mean, if you do have a conventionally, like unconventionally high salary, because one of my classmates, he was being paid in dollars when he was working in Nigeria. He was getting $10,000 per month. Times that by 12, that is $120,000. In Nigeria, it's not as if like he was working anywhere. That is an unconventionally high salary. That kind of person is definitely going to get a full ride. Because where do you see that kind of salary in Nigeria? Except that person is like really amazing. So obviously, salary is a data point that they evaluate, but it's not just salary. You can quantify your impact based on your actual impact that you've made in your work.
Mm.
And speaking of impact, recommendation letters. Nigerians will go and get a recommendation letter that will be like, to whom it may concern. This is to recommend blah, 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 blah. I have known him for 2 years. He's an hardworking person.
Esther is an excellent student. He
Yes,
works hard. Full
yes.
stop.
Full stop. Nobody cares. They will literally trash that recommendation letter. I swear. It's like
Mm.
they want to know the specifics. Like they want to know my recommendation letter that one of my mentors submitted for my admission was like 15, I said 15, 1,500 words. It's like an essay on their own. I told them 3 months in advance. And it's not just to tell them, let me tell you for this one, they will not advertise it on the MBA website, but this is an inner secret. Call this person. If you actually know them, they are your family friend, not family, you cannot use your family. Like they are people you know, you have a relationship with them. Go to their house, sit them down, walk them through the importance of the essay. Tell them that this is my CV, I am giving you my CV. Cycle the part you want them to emphasize. Because some of your essays might emphasize one part of your profile. You need your recommendation letter to complement the other part that you are not emphasizing. Tell
Mm.
them that this is this experience. I like you to emphasize this experience because this. Then that experience, I want you to say this about this, about this. It's not on my CV, but I can remind you. Most of these people know you are amazing, but they cannot remember how, why they think so.
Yeah.
Remind them, tell them all the specific times they've looked at you and say, oh, you're the gift from God. Give them templates to work with because they would want to say really nice things about you. That's why they accepted to give you a recommendation letter, but they don't know where to start. I would not advise that you should write it yourself. There's like an advice out there that they will say write it yourself and give them to sign. Why I would not say you should write it yourself is because sometimes admission committees are so like experienced with reading that they know the pattern of, they can detect the way someone writes. Now they've read your essay, they know your tone, the way you write, maybe you're a dramatic writer or whatever. And they are reading your recommendation letter, they're seeing similar patterns. Now the entire thing is now like
Mm.
no longer normal to them. They're going to decline your application. So that's why I'm saying don't write it yourself, but give them all they need that it will feel as if you are the mastermind behind that whatever. Ensure that you give them as much time because I said 3 months. It was like that's the length of time I gave my recommendation, my recommender to use to structure it. And it's not as if you just give them 3 months and you would like remind them the week before the submission. No, to 2 weeks. Be sending them gentle reminders, gentle check-in. But actually, my recommender was very, very close to me, so I just would send any email. I would just pick up my phone and call them. What else do you need from me? This, that. And also, one more thing If you have multiple recommenders because you are well loved and you are wondering, which one should I pick? Is it the one with the highest title? Title does not really matter, to be honest. Your president can write you like a recommendation letter, you still be declined. And I'm not even just joking. You might be thinking that I'm exaggerating some of these things. It's the truth. Like, so it's based on the actual relationship you've had with the person, the length of time. One of my recommender have known me since I was a child. So the person have seen me through stages, and my recommendation letter starts from when I was a teenager to like when I became an adult, a young adult, to like up to now. So there's phases to this thing. Their word matters because they've seen it grow. You understand? Why? If you ask for a recommendation letter from like someone that has only known you for like 1 year,
Mm.
that is a problem because the person does not know you enough to know how you've evolved as a person. And also, if you ask for a recommendation letter from like the CEO of your company that you've only seen once in the elevator or the staircase, as in what we do in Nigeria, that is the problem. How do you think a CEO of like a 1,000 member company knows you, a junior analyst or something? So it's like choose the right person for your context. And if you have multiple people you are considering, think about, have you read what they've written? You want the person that can write the best essay because it's like they are selling you just as the way you are writing your essays. Someone that has the talent to write essays. You don't want someone that they don't do well with writing. Like, for example, the second recommender I got, she's a well-known journalist. Her job description involves writing think pieces that are like captivating. So
Mm.
imagine how my essay would be. It would be like another think piece. So that is like things you have to consider. They will not tell you all these things. It's not anywhere. It's from people that have done it all that will be able to share all of these things with you. And now, the thing about the MBA recommendation part is that they usually ask for two recommendations. They say the first person should be your current supervisor, the person you are working with now in your current job. But they give a caveat. If you cannot have your current supervisor write you a recommendation letter because maybe you're working with a company that don't really fancy people leaving, you understand? If you tell them today that you're applying for an MBA program, they might sack you or something.
Mm.
That is like you want to protect your job, so you cannot ask them. You just have to like put that in an additional essay. They have slot for that. Why you did not get your current supervisor to write you a recommendation letter and ask someone else. In fact, you might be working in a place where you don't have a relationship with supervisors in general. You can ask a client, someone that you worked with that was raving about your product and was like, this person is really good. It really depends on how you explain it to the admission committee. So, but they would say that that is their preferred choice. If you can get your current supervisor that knows you for years to write for you, it's your first choice. But other than that, choose someone else. Now, the second thing is, except you're a PhD student that all your life experience has been in academia, nobody cares about academic recommendation letter. They want professional recommendation letter because, like I said, the MBA is not about you locking yourself in the lab and doing research. No, it's about you showing that you are capable of thriving in the professional world. So it's professional recommendation letters they are looking for. Don't ask for a recommendation letter from your church, not just because it's not professional, but because people have biases towards religion here in the US. In Nigeria, it's fine. People are very religious. In the US, people really don't care. They might even have a bad taste in their mouth if they read something from a clergyman, an
Mm.
imam, somebody. Don't do that. Leave your religion out of it. Leave God-related affairs out of your MBA application. After you get admitted, you can thank God, but not before. Just do everything the way you are trying to sell them a story. I actually read something on like somewhere. Was it yesterday? It was actually yesterday. It was on Twitter about
Mm.
how someone's Nigerian name used to work against them when they
Yeah.
apply for things. I don't know if you've seen that story. And it's
Yeah.
actually true. But I mean, in the MBA program, that is not a consideration because they want a diverse class. They need people from Africa. But I'm telling you, why I brought that story up is that I'm trying to tell you that people like people that are like them. So if you are too religious, it's on the nose, it might be
Mm.
off-putting. So don't do that with your recommendation, with your application materials. Now, the thing about recommendations, I would give you like several schools have their like recommendation, whatever. But if they don't give a limit, a minimum or a maximum, A recommendation letter should be around 500 words. At least it should be around 500 words. 500 words seems to be like the minimum to be able to say something concrete about someone and to be able to rave about them. And also, it's not just the letter, your admission, because I didn't know this. I never saw my recommendation form until my recommender was congratulating me afterwards and told me that, oh, it's not just the letter that I submitted, that there was an entire form that I had to evaluate you based on every young person of your age that I have ever interacted with. So there's like top 1%, top 5%, top 10%, top 20%. So now this is where you have to choose someone that really likes you, choose someone that really wants you to succeed. You tell them that whenever they see the highest top that they can see, the top 1%, even if it's not the truth, tell them that that's the one that they should do. Do you know why? American students here is like a common thing. That is what they do. The top 1% is almost what everybody gets from their recommender. It's not supposed to be so, because honestly, top 5% is impressive. Top 10% is impressive. But if every other person applying for the same position is
Right.
getting rated on top 1% and you are top 10, that is a problem. So tell them to choose the highest rank they can give you. You can discuss their whatever later with you. You can buy them a drink or something. But that is truly what they should be doing for you, because that is it's like someone said it to me recently in class. They're like, the entire affair with recommendation letters is not because admission committee don't know that applicants really influence this part very well. It's because they want to know if you are capable of the dance. The MBA dances, can you get someone to like you enough to go above and beyond to recommend you as the best person that they've ever seen since sliced bread? That is the affair, because it's like business people that you are saying, CEOs, it's not like they are the smartest or anything. It's the people that can sell more to the crowd. That is something they are evaluating. So I'm saying you should get the best person to recommend you. Now, after you've compiled everything together, obviously you submit and you do fingers crossed. When you've submitted, does not mean that you should not still keep attending the school event or whatever. Still keep showing them interest. And then it gets to interview part. The interview part of things. Oh, before we talk about interview, just wanted to say one more thing about recommendations. Recommendations usually use a standardized MBA common recommendation template, except my school. My school is the only school I know that have decided that they are not going to use that template. So if you're applying to Wharton, you're going to have the recommender write a special new recommendation letter. But for other schools, they just have to change the name of the school because it's the same questions that they ask. And I can also share that with you so that people can look at the MBA Commons letter of recommendation templates. So now moving to interviews. Interviews, you get invited to interview. My school is also different in the sense that normal interviews is supposed to be someone on the call, two people on the call versus you asking you questions about your background, trying to like connect the dots. There are some things you shared in your essay they don't quite understand, stuff like that. Asking you why this school, they want to see if you can speak English. That's also a way they assess English, whatever, because they don't ask for IELTS. If you went to a school that your first language of like instruction is English, which is most Nigerian school. So they don't ask for that. They don't ask for writing, whatever. But during the interview, you want to assess if you can communicate with your fellow
Yeah.
like employers. So all of those things are part of the things they rate. But there's one thing about interviews, especially like Wharton interviews, they do what they call TBD. Is it TBD? Case-based discussion. I can't even remember. It's been so long since I got admitted, but it's actually just like they don't do the conventional interview. So what they do is they give you a case and they ask you to like formulate your recommendation on the case, a business case. And then you and like 7 other people, or maybe it's 5 other people, so that's 6 or 7 or 8 students that will be on the call. And you guys will have a business discussion to be as if you guys are actually in a CEO meeting. They want to know how you work with them. I remember now it's called team-based discussion, TBD, team-based discussion. So they will just, the 2 people that will be assessing the team-based discussion, they are not talking. They're just like quiet. They're just looking at you. How do you talk? Are you interrupting people when they are talking? Do you feel like you have the best idea and you don't want to hear people's idea? You will never make it. All of those, they want to understand your dynamics with a team. They want to be able to sieve you out and know that this person is capable of not being an asshole. There's no other way to put it. I'll just use the word. So that is the Wharton thing. But I don't think a lot of people might be applying to Wharton, so there's no point to dwell on that. But the general school, they ask you about yourself and you want to time your response. See, the thing about interviews is write out what you want to say. Don't write the exact thing. Like, don't say, my name is Esther Ajari, I am blah, blah, blah. No. If you want to start with your name, put like a bullet point name, put whatever, like make your point you want to convey for each question, like envisage the question, because people just go into interviews without envisaging what the question would be. I have don't know if I still have my book now, but I had a book. It was like a very 60 leaves or something, and it had like 100 interview questions that anybody could ask. And to tell you the truth, throughout all my interviews, except the Wharton interview, which is basically like a team-based discussion, but throughout all my interviews, there was not a question they asked me that was not in that book. That's because I envisaged what the questions could be and I prepared bullet point answers. It's not because if you are reading a script, if you prepare sentence-based answers, you crammed it. You'll be a robot when you're talking. People can tell. Like, for example, when I started this call, I literally told Yusuf that I don't have a script or I don't have anything because I wanted it to be like, at the moment, a conversation. If I was reciting something from my laptop, you could tell. It's very easy to tell. There'll be no body language, there'll be nothing, and you'll be a robot. Nobody really wants a robot in class. So that's what I'm saying. Get your points down in bullet points, but let your personality shine through. Also, if you are someone that are very good native, wear native for your interview. It is a very risky advice in the sense that some people's native will be off-putting. But if you have a very good native that used to wear to either church or mosque, that people used to compliment, see when you're tailor try, all those kind of things. Wear it. It's showing your diversity, showing your uniqueness. And just be yourself. Like, you've gotten to the stage of an interview. You don't want to be saying, think when you get that interview invite, remember that you're already very qualified. There are two phases of MBA admission CV. There is the qualification process and then the selection process. So the qualification process is they've eliminated people that they think are not qualified. They've eliminated all of them. Now, the people they are sending in invites to are those they know they are qualified for seats in the class. The selection process is it's not based on qualification. It's based on, do they think you have what it takes to add flavor to the class they are building? Because admission committee, especially the MBA program, they would envisage what they want their class to look like. Maybe 2% doctors, 1% engineer, 5% from Africa. We want someone that knows how to play the cello, things like that. So you that come in with the same exact qualification as another person, but you just don't have that selection criteria, you'll be at a loss for it. So why I say this is because selection criteria can be a lot of soft skills. So soft skills in the sense that your interview, you have the chance to show them that you are someone they want to be stuck with in the airport. That is the airport test. If I don't want to be stuck with you at the airport, you are not going to get admitted to any MBA program. So you're not going to be a robot. You are working there with confidence because, like I said, if you get an interview, it means you are qualified past that stage. Going there that like with the authority, like this is my school and I'm just waiting for them to send me an admission letter. And when you go there like that, you're going to have a conversation with your interviewer. It's not going to be hey ma, don't be using ma, don't be using sir. They don't need to use ma and sir in business. They are like your peer. Talk to them, focus on speaking with them. So afterwards, always send a thank you letter at least 24 hours. No, not at least, at most 24 hours after your interview. And it's not just a generic thank you letter. Say one thing on the call that they said. Just say it to show them that you're not having a template that you're sent to everybody. Show them that you remember the conversation you had with them, you appreciate it. And then you're also going to ask them if you can, that if they have any future areas for improvements, that you're always willing to learn, just send them a nice thank you note. The disadvantage that internationals would have is that they are not in the US, so they cannot send actual penned thank you notes. But that is a very lovely touch, because if you were like domestic students do it all the time, you will see them, they will write their thank you notes, they will spray it with perf. I'm telling you that this thing is beyond what you are thinking of. They will spray it with perf, they'll put it in a very nice note, they will not tie it with a ribbon, they'll not send it in the mail to their interviewer. You, the interviewer, you see it will smell like a mumu. But you as an international, the only thing you can do is really send an email to make it as personal as possible. It's a very nice touch. Now, moving on, you will now be waiting for admission. You'll be waiting. And you remember, I've not said anything about scholarship. That's because most MBA scholarship is really given based on your essays from the actual MBA application itself. But some schools would have a few extra essays, maybe one or two for specific scholarship. But most of the scholarship, like 95% of the scholarship, based on your application essays, you'll be considered. So MBA scholarships are like two, need-based.
Esther, something started like what, so what I've been saying since, that even if you have the money, you have the cash with you to pay,
Mm-hmm.
your spot is not even guaranteed.
No. You know how many billionaire children every day don't get any slot? It's not a can you pay?
Mm.
Welcome. No. It's a do you have what it takes to contribute to this school? That is the thing. That is just the thing. Because they can fill their class with rich people and don't give out one scholarship. But that is not the idea. They're looking for the next Bill Gates, the next
Mm.
Barack Obama, next Nelson Mandela. And those
Mm.
people might be found among the poor like us, not among the rich. So yeah.
Mm.
So basically, and also it's very crazy. There's literally one guy in my school. He's so rich. He was getting like 300K US dollar annually prior to the MBA. But because his application is great, they still give him full scholarship. So it's not as he does not need it. He does not need the money. But it's like I was even describing, there are two types of MBA scholarship: need-based, merit-based. Schools like Wharton and most schools, they don't give need-based. So you with your poverty, it doesn't really concern them. It's based on like the way they choose people for scholarship is it's very simple. They choose you based on can this person get to a higher school, get into an higher school? And the only reason they will come to our school is because we use money to lure them in. Remember, it's a business school, everything is a competition.
Yeah.
That's the way they think. So that's the way they choose people. If they look at your credential and it's way better than their class average, they are inclined to want to like lure you in with money. But Harvard and Stanford is the only school in the top 25 that I know of that focus their scholarship process solely on need-based scholarship, in the sense that if most Nigerians, if they get admission to Harvard, they are going to be fully sponsored. When I say fully sponsored, I have to clarify. Top 25 schools, they don't give you funding for your living expenses. You are going to have to like take out student loans for that. Or if you have some savings from Nigeria, I don't know if that savings will be enough, because like living expenses for like an MBA program is anywhere from like $40,000 to like $50,000 per year. So, but if you do have rich parents, let me not just generalize. Yeah, you can do that. But most like people would have to take out student loans, and the student loans is really easy to qualify for. Once you get your admission, you can just apply. You don't need collateral. You don't need someone signing on your behalf. The school is standing as a guarantee, because, and also the lenders are very happy to give you the money, because they feel like, well, if this person get an admission to this type of school, the person's income in the future is going to be off the charts. So there's
Yeah.
no fear. Although they do get some cases where someone decides to go back home and now they are earning in a currency different from US dollars, makes it harder to pay back the whatever. But that is not it's not very popular. It's like 1% of the time. So to get the student loan, when you're going to a top 25 school, it's not a problem. Get in first and you'll be able to pay back. I have a friend currently at Wharton. She's like 170K in debt. That's what she took out to come to school. Some people took out $250,000 to come to
Wow.
school. They are not concerned about that because they will be able to pay back when they like go into their post MBA jobs. And that's
Mm.
something that is very lucrative. So for the Harvard though, because they have a very huge endowment fund, if you are from Nigeria, and know most Nigerians will qualify for the full tuition. So when I say full ride, I mean full tuition and full fees, but there is no living expenses, there's no accommodation, there's no food, there's no transport, there's no clothes. All of those things are your responsibility. So Harvard
Your
does
flight
that.
to the US.
No, that's your responsibility. Nobody's giving you a flight to the US for MBA program. Because it's like, to be honest, let me tell you why. You might be thinking, for other PhD programs, they do that. But PhD programs, they don't cost as much as MBA programs. If you check the
Right.
website, my school, and 1 year of like tuition is $427,000 per year.
Mm.
Most PhD programs, they don't charge that much. So even if they're giving a PhD student the same money that they're giving an MBA student, it's only going to be enough to cover like
Right.
tuition and fees. But for the PhD student, it's going to
Mm.
cover everything they need. So you are going to have to find out. Also, one thing about financial responsibility, your acceptance fee. When I got admitted, my acceptance fee was like $2,000 and it's like 3 point something million. You have to cough it out. No matter, even if they give you full scholarship, you still have to cough it out. That's a way to show them that you are committing to that slot. So they don't give it to you and then something happen in the future and then you're like, oh, maybe visa doesn't come through for you.
Mm.
And then you're like, you wasted that slot. You could have given it to someone else that probably would pay school fees to them. You understand? Also, one of my friends that got admitted recently to an MBA program, his own for Yale was $3,000. So that's like 5 point something million as we speak. You have to find it. There's no like whatever. But the good thing about the acceptance fee is that once you come in, if you are a full fee paying student, they will credit the acceptance fee to your tuition. So it's not as if it's an extra payment you're making. They'll credit it to your tuition. But if you have full scholarship, so you don't have any tuition to pay, they'll credit it to your accounts back. So it's not as if like, but you just have to find money for that time to commit to it.
Mm.
So I was saying Harvard, they have the full whatever. Stanford has a need-based scholarship as well, but they don't give full like tuition to everybody that is poor. They might give you like 90%, but you have to have at least some form of like contribution to it. And I think US, which is University of California in Berkeley, they don't have full need-based scholarship. They have merit-based and need-based scholarship. Their merit-based is actually more than their need-based, but the need-based is also available. So if you apply, you might not qualify for merit-based scholarship, but you might qualify for their need-based scholarship, and that is good. And I also think the MasterCard Foundation, they have a scholarship specifically for us that is for Africans. So you have that slot. I think the MasterCard Foundation gives you more than just tuition and fee. They might give you some stipend as well, but that is specifically for the MasterCard Foundation. That is a rare MBA thing. And
Mm.
also because some people might be looking at UK, for places like Oxford, what's the name of the school? Cambridge, you could apply for like Chevening scholarship, but I think they have a cap on how much they pay. So I don't think the Chevening or the Commonwealth scholarship, one of those two, I don't think they cover all you need like the way they would cover for like the normal master's program.
Yeah.
But at least that is like a good thing. So those are rare exceptions of external scholarship. Most of the MBA scholarships come from the school themselves. And the school themselves, they cap it at tuition and fees. In fact, Duke University only does tuition. They don't contribute to fees. So health insurance, general fees, course fees, lab fees, did I say lab fee? Technology fee, all of those things, you have to pay for that. But to be honest, you might say, okay, oh, I want to come in and I know that I would try hard, get a very huge CGPA my first year, and then I will get full scholarship second year. It's very rare. So the way they give the scholarship offer is that they tell you the amount they're going to pay for first year and second year. So if you get maybe a 100K scholarship offer, you get 50K in the first year, 50K in the second year. The chances of your second year scholarship changing, increasing is low. It can happen in one of two ways. Either you like the sponsor of that scholarship woke up on the right side of the bed. And I was like, I'm feeling good today. I want to just increase scholarship from 100K to like 140K for my recipients. Yeah, then congrats to you. You get extra money for your second year. But the second way it could happen is you can get into like some of like those top percentile scholarship. You have a CGPA that was really high, and then they give you some money for it. But that is not guaranteed. The chances that you will get a very high CGPA in the MBA program is very low, to be honest with you. So don't base your like decision on that. And one more thing, since this is like an Africa like centric crowd, there's also a scholarship that is funded by T.Y. Danjuma Foundation. So the T.Y. Danjuma Foundation, they only choose to give scholarship to people that get admitted into like the top 10 programs each year. So if your school, unfortunately, is 11 in their Financial Times ranking, because there are two rankings that matter. There's just a lot of rankings everywhere that people are confused. Which of the rankings should we be following? The Financial Times is a global ranking that involves US schools, all schools across the world. That's Financial Times. But the one that really matters to US MBA program is the US News MBA ranking. But for the case of this T.Y. Danjuma Foundation scholarship, is the Financial Times ranking they use, and they give scholarship to those who get admitted in their first year. So they don't consider second year MBA students. So the first year MBA students for Financial Times top 10, they give a scholarship on that. So yeah, basically, but the scholarship they give you, they specifically state it very clearly. They say it's not enough to cover, it's not enough to be your main source of funding. So you have to like, it's like an extra cash in your pocket that they give you for like things. You have to find other ways to fund. So scholarships is a very broad discussion, but honestly, the scholarship part of things is you make your essay as best as you can. That's why I'm telling you, try your best to make your essay really tight. And you hope that they give you scholarship. Now, this is the one aspect of scholarship that I must discuss because it's not anywhere on the website. The idea now it's coming back full cycle. The idea why I also said you should apply for multiple schools, 3 being the minimum, is this. I gave you one reason before. This is the second reason. So imagine you get admitted to 3 schools, and one of them gives you scholarship. Maybe that one gives you 40K. I'm just using an example. And then one gives you 60K, and the last one does not give you anything. So maybe just for the sake of simplicity, to make this example very simple, because it can get complex really quickly. But let's just say the one that did not give you any money, that is the one that you don't even really want to go. That's the lowest on your list. So maybe just leave that aside. Don't do anything with that. Let them hold their admission first. Now you go to maybe now out of the 2 schools, let's not even complicate it further. Let's not even say you have a preference between the 2 schools. Let's just say you prefer them equally, which is not possible, but let's just use that. You first of all must start with the school that gave you 40K. You write to them. You send them your scholarship from the other school that gave you 60K. It's called a scholarship negotiation dance. The MBA program, like I said, is a dance every time. So now you tell them, oh, hi, admission committee, I really love your school and I really want to go. It might not be true. It doesn't have to be true that you really want to go to that school. That is the template that everybody, including the white students, are using. I really want to come to your school, but I'm finding it difficult to make the commitment based on financial standing. I got another juicy offer from so school. This is the scholarship they offered. Can you please match or exceed? Can you please match or exceed the scholarship offer so that it will make my decision easier and I can commit to your school? Then you wait, they do their calculation, boom, they come back and tell you that, oh, okay, we really want you to come. So this is 70K in scholarship. So it went from 40K to 70K based on what you sent them because they are trying to exceed that offer. Nah, some people will be like, oh, well, thank God, oh, let me just pay my admission fee. No, it's a dance. It's a dance that takes weeks.
And
You
once they
carry
give you
that.
offer, they really want you. Once they give you
Yes,
offer, they really want you.
yeah, it depends though. Like some people would try that, it will not work for them. Like Wharton, because Wharton is very notorious. They have their own beliefs. They don't negotiate scholarships. So this dance does not work in Wharton. Even if you go and tell them that Harvard gave you 100% of whatever, they will tell you to enjoy Harvard. That's what they will tell you, I swear. So they don't, but they've stated it very clearly. Everybody in the MBA community, they know that Wharton does not negotiate. But most schools, they negotiate, most schools. But Harvard and Stanford will not negotiate because, like I said, it's a need-based program. So it's based on your actual need. They've given you what they can give you based on your need. But other schools that do merit-based scholarship, which is the rest of the T25, they will negotiate. Now, coming back to that point, they give you 70K now, and you're like, oh, I will just send my admission commitment fee to them and move on. No, 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 you are in a rush. Now, you take that 70K new offer, the new printed offer, now take it back to the person that gave you 60K. So when you take it back to the people that gave you 60K, they will now, you not tell them that the same story, the same speech that you gave that first school. You not tell them that, oh, I really love your school. I really do. I just want to I need to make the decision, but the financial thing is hard for me. Give them the same whatever. Those people who did not know that you started with 40K and negotiated to 70K. So they will think this is the actual brand new offer that you got, the initial offer. They will now increase your scholarship to maybe like 80K or 90K. Now, remember there's a third school somewhere that you've not engaged with. Now it's time for you to go and meet them. You'll be like, oh, I really love your school. You might be thinking, oh, this is so unethical. It's the game. Business people are not known for ethics. That's the honest truth. So you go back to the other school, you'll be like, oh, this is the school I've always dreamed of. But financial standing, the same speech. Now that school would think your 90K offer is what you started with, and they might even come back and say, okay, let me just give you 120K in scholarship. Now you went from 0 to 120K in scholarship. Ultimately, you go for the school where the money is highest. And to be honest, this scholarship negotiation dance only works if all the schools you apply for are in the same ranking bracket or in like one ranking less. So for example, if you're applying for a T25 and you got a scholarship from a T15, because the school is highly ranked, the T25 are insecure. It's like a dating game. They are like, oh, this girl or this boy is finer than like what I can normally claim. So basically, I want to attract them with money. So that's the thing. Or if you can also do it within the same bracket in the sense that you got admitted to a different T25 and one T25 did not offer you as much money, you can do that. But if you got an offer, or maybe even go down, just a bit down, for example, you got admitted to a T15, that T15 did not give you money, but you got money from a T25. You could also try, although the chances of you getting your scholarship increase is lower. You understand? But you could try. But if it's like you got admitted and you got a scholarship from a T50, very far off, nobody will care. Everybody will tell you to go and eat your scholarship money somewhere. So you want the ranking of the schools to be very close, that they are competitor schools, for them to want to up each other to be able to get that scholarship thingy. And I know we don't have much time, so I will just spend the next like maybe 3 minutes talking about getting into school. We might not be able to reach like employer-related issues today, but I want to talk about the visa issue. That is a problem. You can do all of this journey, all of this dance, get everything, and not get your visa. You might be rejected at the embassies. It's something that has happened multiple times. In fact, some of my friends also had to apply 3 times, 4 times in the space of like 2 months to be able to get a visa. So how do you get visas? I'll just run through it really quickly. As an international student, you have to like pay up like the acceptance fee, and then the International Student and Scholar Service like office will reach out to you, and they will now tell you, this is your estimated cost of attendance. We gave you maybe 50% scholarship. How do you have like how are you going to cover the remaining 50%? If you are taking the student loans that the school offer, that is very easy. You just send them like the student loan offer, whatever. So that covers that. But if you are doing your own personal finances to fund the remaining 50%, you just have to like print out your bank statement for the month that you require. You send it to them. Once you send all of those things to them, it might take a few weeks, but then they will print out what they call the I-20. If you've been on any other admission call, it's very similar to the MBA process. So the I-20 is like your proof that the school admitted you. It has several identification number that you need for immigration. So when you get your I-20, you will now go on like the US Embassy website, apply. The application form is there for the visa. The visa you need is the F1 visa. For the MBA program, you usually need the F1 visa. If you have family, like your wife or somebody, or your husband that is following you to the program, they would have to apply for like an F2 visa. That is like for the F2 visa, you cannot work. That's like a thing that is there for that. So when you apply for the F1 visa or the F2 visa or both at the same time, you would have to pay the visa application fee. Last time I checked was like 160 US dollars, but I can't remember what the new price is now. And then not just that fee, you also have to pay what they call the service fee. So service fee would actually be servicing the portal that generates your I-20. So that is something you cannot pay directly in Nigeria. Like you can't just go because they have multiple options to pay. You cannot go to a normal Western Union in Nigeria and pay it because I don't know why. It's just weird. You have to pay in US dollars. So there's an app that you can pay with. It's called Pay for Me. You have to pay them like a service fee. Like, no, I mean, when I say service, you might be confusing it with SEVIS. That is the one you pay to the US government. Service is SERVISE, like for their service as an app. You have to pay them an extra token and they will pay the fee for you and generate your receipt for you. Or if you have family members or friends in the US, you can send them the money and they will pay it for you here for free and send you your receipt. But you have to do that. Then when you've done that, you now go on the portal, the US Embassy portal, and submit everything, like all your information. You don't just get access to look for interview dates immediately, no. To take you like they would take them like a week or two or even more sometimes to approve you're looking for admission, like an interview date. It's a weird thing. They would have to approve you to start looking for that. Now you go on the portal and you might see a date that is like 2 years ahead of when your school starts. Don't be dismayed. It's like a patience kind of thing. You have to keep checking every day, every day. Join groups. They are like interview checking dates, like group, whatever. Our friends call you. Like for me, how I got my interview date was that I was just on my own, minding my business, thinking about my life. Someone called me on the phone, was like, "Oh, Esther, there's interview date. So go and check. Oh, go and pick your slot." Oh, so and I went there to pick my slot. So you have to. It's a patience kind of thing. I was lucky that it took me just 1 month to find the date I need. Some people it might take them longer. But you should, in fact, you can tell all your friends that you're supposed to do gossip with, this is the time you need them. You can give them if you trust them enough, you can give them your embassy login details. They can be checking for you at multiple times. Like you might be able to check maybe 3 times in a day. They are checking 3 times in a day. So it's like 6 times collective. But just to be sure though, the embassy has a limit on the number of times you can check in a day. So after some point, they are going to lock you out until the next day. I don't know why, but that is the scenario of things. Just want to prepare everyone. And then you finally find your date and you prepare. The interview is not like they will ask you, why are you going to the US? It's not like I am going to the US to go and study at MIT, period. No. Every opportunity they give you to talk, you have to give them the entire speech. You have to sell yourself, tell them why you are going and why you are going to be coming back. Don't be drawn in the idea of, because there's this thing with the US system where people have actually asked this question a lot. They are like, how many years of work authorization do you get after you graduate from the MBA? This is why I keep telling you to do a top 25, a T25 MBA, because most T25 MBA, they've gotten what they call the STEM designation. To me, there's no reason why an MBA program should be STEM designated, but it is. So once it's STEM designated, you get 3 years of working. But if your MBA program is like one of those lower ranked ones that don't have like the STEM designation, you only have 1 year of working. For those that don't know what STEM is like science, technology, engineering, and math. So you have that attached to your visa. You have to apply for it at the end of the program, but it's guaranteed that you get it as long as you don't like do anything wrong with your visa like requirement. Like some people, they'll tell you that for your first year on the F1 visa, you can only work for 20 hours per week on campus. There's some people who go and work off campus. All of those violations can make your OPT, which is the optional practical training authorization, that might cancel it for you. If you are following the whatever, the regulations, that is one of the regulations, then you can start working off campus from your second year, but it still has to be limited to 20 hours per week. So if you do everything right, you should be able to get your OPT, whatever. But now, most MBA programs would only like they would not most MBA program, most post MBA jobs, they don't necessarily sponsor. When I say sponsor is they don't sponsor your visa. So they will really only want to choose people that either have like the 3 years OPT, whatever, or people going into investment banking or consulting. Those people, because it's like a very huge company that have a lot of money to spend, they have lawyers and retainers, they would want to sponsor you. So that's why actually it's three different fields that most international MBA students go into. They go into either tech, consulting, or investment banking. But I also had offers for healthcare related things, but I think it's because I was a doctor, they really needed my experience, so it was easy for me to get that, and they agreed to sponsor me. But normally they don't sponsor people. But so that's what I'm saying. But back to like the visa thing, because I am going to employment, which I'm not discussing today. So the visa thing, when they ask you a question, you take it as them giving you the opportunity to sell yourself. Tell them why you chose the program, why that program is the best, that will make you the best at your field. Don't fall into the pit of thinking that because the F1 visa comes with the 3 years OPT, that you can tell them that you are planning to work for 3 years after you graduate from your MBA program. No, it's a lying game. You tell them that you're coming to Nigeria immediately. Immediately you graduate. That's what you're telling them, even though normally it comes with that. They just want you to know that you are committed to Nigeria. And the things that you can use to show them that you're committed to Nigeria is that you are leaving your family behind, your wife. It's not your mom. They don't rate your mom as much as they rate your wife. I don't know why, but that is it. Like you're leaving your wife behind. You have huge properties in Nigeria. You have a very high-paying job in Nigeria that you're leaving to go to school and you're coming back to, and they already offered you like a position at the higher whatever. Think about something, anything that can show them. And to be honest, if you get denied the first time, just actually a lot money for more than one visa fee, more than one service fee, a lot of money for all of those things, because it might take you more than 3 tries to get it. But anyways, it was a long conversation. We spent 2 hours talking, but at
Yeah,
this point I would stop.
this is amazing. Thank you very much, Esther, for doing this. I mean, the viewer, I've learned quite a lot of things from what you said. I mean, this is educating, inspiring, and raw.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. Just the way, like, honestly, I think I wished I had something like this when I was applying. It would have made my
Mm.
life easier, but
Thank
it's
you
what it
very much
is.
for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a number of questions.
Of course.
Yeah. So thank you, raw and virtual. Someone already said that. So lovely. Uh, so someone said some said U.S. job market focus on students from top 20 to 30 business schools. How true is this? And
That's so
should
true.
students focus on these schools while applying for MBA? Maybe this person didn't join from the beginning.
Yeah, because I said it like in the beginning, the T25 MBAs, top 25 MBAs are really all you should focus on when you're like applying for an MBA program. If your qualifications are not enough for them at that point, work some more, wait some more years before you go for that. Or maybe go for another type of master's, not the MBA program. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So also, what are the qualities schools look for in applicants, and how can one be fit for MBA scholarship?
Yeah, I think I discussed most of this during like our conversation, but just to reiterate really quickly, uh, they need your CV to like meet the average, which is like years of work experience, good recommendation letter. They want you to have made an impact in your job. So they really like community service related affairs. So that's something I forgot to mention, extracurricular activities. So if your work experience session is not very sound, your extracurriculars should be very sound. So, and that is one, actually, I don't think most schools verify extracurriculars. I'm not saying this so that people would lie about it. I'm just saying that you have more room where, like, leeway, more room for you to be able to truly express yourself in the extracurricular aspect of your application, because that is not something they would call the companies up to like verify, unlike the employment session, like I had said. And also they want to know that you have specific qualities. So if you are someone that have the most amazing voice, it's not just to have amazing voice. Have you joined a singing group that do like international or national competition? It's not just to have a talent, it's to have workings showing that this is the impact my talent has made. You want to be able to concretely verify that your talent has had a kind of thing. Because honestly, you being a good singer, you being a good dancer might be what would qualify you, not qualify that, what would differentiate you and get you selected. But I said the thing about qualification process and selection process. So all of those soft skills that you have would be your selection criteria. But for the raw qualification, you need 5 years of experience after undergrad. You need a good CGPA, a good GROE. It's like, to be honest, almost everybody that applies for the MBA program, at the end of it, at the end of the journey, they always say it's very overwhelming, because it's really an overwhelming process.
Thank you very much,
Mhm.
Esther. So someone want to know, what do you think made you stand out?
I don't know. I could actually find out, because once you get into school, you can go to your admission committee like office and tell them that you want a file of your admission report or whatever, and see specifically what they said that made you got admitted. I just don't know. I'm the kind of person, I don't really like reading reviews about myself. I don't like hearing my own voice. I'm serious. Like one of my friends did it. That's why I know that it's possible. She was feeling very low during the
Mm,
recruiting season. She was
mm.
feeling really low, and she thought she was here on a fluke, or she was the diversity hire in school, that she didn't really deserve a spot. And then she went and she saw all of the amazing things they wrote about her. And she was like, I recommend it to you, Esther, you should go. And then I'm like, I don't have self-esteem issues in the first place, so I don't really need it. But yeah, I also think maybe it's because I've had a lot of international like acclaim at a young age. Maybe that helped. And also during my team-based discussion for my school, I didn't go in with pride. I went in with the idea that I'm trying to learn from the people that were on the call. So I wasn't talking on people, I was normal. And then I have this thing where people either hate me a lot or they like me a lot. So I guess the people that interviewed me probably liked me a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah, from our own end, we can say that you are very amazing right from the university days, and I think you deserve it and more.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, someone is asking that, speaking on resume, what
Mm-hmm.
do you, how do you cram the most important stuff on a page? Like, you just one pager. So, how do you bring everything together to be reasonable in just one page resume?
Yeah, so I'd say most experience that are from like 5 years ago should not be on your resume. Leave it, you can put it in your application form, like there. And also the application form has space for you to elaborate on different experience. So leave
Mm,
that. And then another way to like ensure that your resume is really compact is that if you read the multiple achievements you had in a job and you ask someone which one stands out the most to you, the one that tell you is the one that stands out the most to you should be the one on your resume. I would say most of your like experience like that impact bullet points should not be more than 3 bullet points per like experience. Choose what is like the most outstanding. Also, you could use ChatGPT in the sense that you could ask them to merge and summarize all of your impacts into compact bullet points to make you be able to put that. And then one more thing I can say about resumes is that some people they have an entire session for award. I don't have that particular session in my resume. That is going to take like 3, 4, 5, 6 pages if I'm listing out awards. So what I do is that for each opportunity, like no, for each role or for my schooling, if I had an award I got based on my medical school, I'm going to just impute the most significant one in the education session after my school. So there's no separate portion, but it's under my education session. And then if I have like what are you calling this? Maybe like an award I got from working with a company. So under my impact section, when I say what I did with the company, I would say this resulted in me receiving so award, which has a 1% acceptance rate or whatever. So it's not really the quantity, it's the magnitude of things. Like I got a lot of scholarships in undergrad, but I never mentioned any one of them. The one award I mentioned under my medical school education session was basically I think the Global Student Prize. So that was really a big deal. It's like very, very big deal. So you can put that. You don't have to put everything you've done. But in the application form, if you have space, you can then elaborate and elaborate on that.
Thank you very much, Esther. I don't know whether it's a misconception that some people believe that you need to have an organization or you need to have worked in big places before you can get into an MBA program.
So the thing is, you must have made great impact for your age.
Impact. Mm,
Now, how do you make great impact for your age? Usually, if you are working with a normal company in Nigeria, you probably are not in decision-making spots to be able to actually make great impact for your age. But you could do that through like volunteering, but it's not just to be a volunteer, it's to actually hold a substantial role. Like you could be like the head of volunteers. That is a very good role that makes you like allow you to make impact. Or you could be like maybe the chief community service project manager. Something you don't have to start your own organization. You can make impact just from like other things you do that support like impact. And even if you are not doing community service, you are working in finance or something, you could lead like maybe the diversity hiring of your organization. That does not really require you to be like a CFO or whatever. It just requires anyone with a passion to be able to do that. It's just to be able to really tell the admission committee that you make do with the little you have dealt and you make do of it massively. That is really what they are looking for. It's not based on, like, I don't think, like, I was working mostly in, my experience might not be very representative because I had a lot of, like, high profile companies on my resume, but some people, they've worked only with local based organizations, but the impact they've made spoke for themselves. In fact, one story I should share really quickly was about a recommendation letter that one of my friends got. She got it from the one of the students, secondary school students in the community that are like the organization she was volunteering in, where she was the head of volunteers, where they did like a community impact project that probably like changed the lives of those students. So imagine this in your head, you're like, oh, recommendation letter should come from big CEOs or whatever.
mm.
But that 16-year-old girl wrote like the most visceral recommendation letter I've ever seen in my life. Really said, this person changed my life. Without this person, I will not be where I am today. I think this person deserves a spot to be able to shine a light to like other people. You as an admission committee reading that from a like 16-year-old girl, there's no reason a child should lie. It's so raw, it's so visceral that it conveys the message that this person has had great impact. And she got admitted, she got huge scholarship. So it's really how you package yourself. That's what I would say. It's really how you package yourself. It's not necessarily the big names.
Wow. Thank you very much, Esther.
Mhm.
Someone even dash us money.
Oh, that's
Thank you
so
very much,
cool.
Austin. Uh, Thanks. Although I'm planning on coming to the ESA for studies, but the info was, maybe I'm not, but the info was useful. Thanks, Esther. Thanks to Sir Yusuf for your efforts. Thank you very much, Austin, for all the time. Uh, Thank you so much.
One more
So,
thing though, before we wrap, do we have more questions?
yeah, just for my end, last question.
Okay.
Do you have any specific advice for maybe doctors or healthcare professionals that are applying to MBA programs? And do you think people that don't have business background, is it really challenging to
Of
cope
course.
when it
Yeah.
when you
To
get in
be
the program?
honest, yeah, to be honest, especially your first year, to answer this question properly, I have to actually also say what I was going to say to end the conversation in the sense that your first year, the first semester is really the recruiting season. So you people don't understand this, but
Hmm.
in the US MBA scene, most of your recruiting happens in school. So your school would organize bar crawls. That might be something you don't know what it is. It's like evening activities where you go to a bar. There's lots of alcohol. You're sitting with your future employer. People are talking about the weather and nothing. It's not very related to like professional whatever. They're trying to source you out. The airport test, like I mentioned, just to be sure that you're normal. They would also organize like official like events where employers come to your school and then they present on their company and tell you why you should apply to their company. They are literally selling you just like the way you are selling. You guys are selling yourself. It's like a dating market, like I keep saying, talking stage kind of thing. So all of those events happen in your first year, first semester. And that is the first time you are being introduced
Mm.
to like business
What?
legal. Like
Eh,
you are learning something new for the first time. You are
mm,
okay. There are three phases to the MBA program. There is the academic phase, which is the academic commitment you should have. There is the social commitment, which is you should be going on trips with your classmates. People should be going on like to restaurants together. This is where the money of living expenses really goes up. It's not just your normal accommodation. You have to have money for stupid things like $100 dinner, stuff like that. And you do that because remember I said your classmates could be your future employer in the future. You want them to like you. And also
mm,
it's not even just even like your future employer in the like maybe 10 years down the line you are competing for a position and one of your classmates has the connect to get you there. If they can't remember you from the experience, and nobody remembers you from class, nobody remembers the most intelligent person. They remember the person that was doing keg stands with them somewhere. That is what they do in the MBA committee. So that is the social life. You have the social commitment to your classmates, and then you have the professional commitment. You're trying to get a job. You are going on this bar crawls, information session, coffee chats with employers. All of those happening at the same time in your first year, first semester is overwhelming. Truly, truly, your academics is going to suffer in your first year, and it's fine. You feel like you don't know anything that during that first semester because you should not be focusing on academics in that first semester. You should be focusing
mm,
on the other two, professional and social, in that first semester. That's why my advice is coming in as someone in the medical field, you know nothing, you should be taking the simplest courses you can find in your first year, first
mm,
semester. And also should be the most introductory courses because you still need to learn some business lingo to be able to speak to a business professional during the bar crawls and all of that. So that when they're talking about profit and loss, margins, your brain is not going crazy. But you don't need to be a business guru at that point. You just need to be presentable. So that is the first. That phase is where people cry, people go into drugs. It happens.
wow.
People are depressed. People are like overwhelmed. But
Mm,
I never got any of those things. I don't know
mm,
why. But but a lot of people do it. So, but remember, the advice is remember, it's going to get better. After you sign your job offer at the end of the first semester, whatever, because usually the MBA program starts in August or September, and people are signing job offers in January, especially when you are recruiting for those three things I mentioned, tech, investment banking, and consulting. So
mm,
after you do that, now you have the time, you have 3 more semesters to be able to take any course that you want to really develop your mind. That's where you can prioritize academics. But during the first semester, don't prioritize it. But at the end of the 2 years program, you're going to feel qualified enough to learn about business, about any specific form of business. I have to repeat that. You feel qualified enough to learn about any specific form of business. You're not leaving your MBA program as I know everything there is to know about business. No,
mm.
you're just living there with the touch, with the taste of different aspects of business enough to really go deep if needed. That is the idea. And one thing, really quickly, is that the business program, they say, is not meant for academics, but you coming in from a non-business, because most of your classmates will be people that did BSc in economics, BSc in maths, computer
Mm,
science, something really adjacent to the business field. But you did healthcare all your life. You only know science. You don't know anything about any like business related affairs. So you should prioritize academics more in your 3 semesters that you were not recruiting. Try to learn, try to befriend your professors to be able to learn better from them. And some of these professors have the best connect with employers. So you want to like be on their good book. But ultimately, you have the knowledge to survive in healthcare, to be a doctor, to be a pharmacist, to be a nurse. That knowledge is transferable to business. So don't feel underqualified. You can get it just like every other person.
Thank you so much, Esther. This is amazing, um, inspiring. All the better was to qualify it. This is amazing. Thank you so much for your time and
Mhm.
for sharing from your wealth of knowledge. You guys can watch this video again. You are free. I'm going to upload it. Please watch it and um, learn from my experience. I mean, the best way to learn is to learn from people that have achieved that feat. You learn from their experience. So thank you very much, Esther, for doing this. And everyone, I think they are all thankful, definitely. Um, Thank you so much, Esther from Aminat. Thank you, Raw and Virtual. Thank you. That interesting. So thank you so much, Esther, for doing this. Everyone is grateful. Um, yeah, that's just it.
I think
Thank you
I
so
would
much.
share like the things I said I was going to share with you, which is basically
Yes.
my GRE prep material and one
Oh,
more
okay.
thing. I
That's true.
can't
Um,
remember the last thing. I want to share it before I forget. I will remember
all right.
ultimately. I might not remember now, but later
Okay.
on I'll remember.
Is it fine for me to put it in uh, like Google Drive and just share the link in
Please
that
share as far as wide as you can. Doesn't there's no proprietary information on
document?
it.
Thank you so much for that, Esther.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate your time. I mean, you should be resting now,
I
but you still
know.
make time out. Thank you
I
so much.
mean, always sending the ladder back for other people back in Nigeria is
Definitely.
a life passion for me. I feel like my advice or my one ask to
Mm,
everyone on the call is that
yeah.
when you get to where you want to get to, regardless of whether it's an MBA program or not,
Right.
you should send the ladder back. If you can do that, it will make me very happy that my time wasn't wasted.
Thank you so much, Esther. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Take care.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Bye. Take care.